What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. First of all, I just want to say thank you so much for giving my birthday video a watch, my top 5 most overrated games of all time. You have shown that some love. I really appreciate it. It's one of the best videos, if not the best video that the channel's had in some time outside of shorts, which I'm trying to do a lot less, and I feel like I've done a good job doing a lot less, so just want to say thank you for that first and foremost. Number 2, thank you for clicking on this video and showing this video some love. This is the 1-year anniversary of the channel, and I wanted to do something a little fun, a game I played recently called Choo Choo Charles, and do a quick review on it. And obviously, in honor of the channel hitting its 1-year anniversary of basically the reboot of this channel, we'll also be doing a look back video, kind of a year in review video here in a couple days as well. But the reason you clicked on this video, Choo Choo Charles. Now, the plot of Choo Choo Charles is kind of crazy. This game is a first-person horror, adventure, walking sim kind of game, but there is some action. You do get to attack the monster Choo Choo Charles, and it's really a fun game because I think what it does is it's a very truncated experience, and that the game itself might take you 2 to 3 hours to complete entirely. But something I really love about this is something I talked about in my most overrated games video. It is the fact that I typically don't feel incentivized by a lot of these open world games or a lot of these games you pour and sink hours into to go do the side quests. There's not really a reason to do them. In Choo Choo Charles, it is necessary for you to complete these side quests. Something I really appreciate about the side quests in this game is that each one is uniquely different from the others. So in some cases, you might have to go collect a jar of pickles, which sounds really random, but there's a little bit of tension to it. There's also a mission where you have to go find all of these pages hooked onto these tree trunks, a la Slender Man or Slender the Arrival, and while be hunting down by like this phantasm that's going throughout the entire forest trying to get you while you collect these pages. And on top of that, there's also missions revolving around collecting different kinds of weapons to put onto the back of your train, because different weapons will have different ranges, they'll have different damage impacts. Some of them might overheat a little bit faster than others. So it really is important that you accomplish all these side missions, weapon missions, and main story objectives, obviously, to get the best opportunity to beat Charles when the grand climactic final fight actually happens. Now, this game also, it rewards you for actually exploring. So the main currency, I guess, if you want to say, throughout this game are called scraps. And scraps just exist in the world. You can find these different areas that you can interact with different people. And typically that's where scraps will live, in these little hubs, in these little like buildings or homes or businesses around the characters, the NPCs you interact with. But on top of that, if you're just exploring and trying to see like what's actually in the world outside of these little hubs and buildings and people, you will find some areas that have a ton of scraps. They really incentivize you to go explore. Now, here's the catch. You could go exploring anywhere you want, but Charles, your main antagonist, the one who's going to try to eat you alive as a spider train would, he is not confined to the restraints of a train track. You'll just be walking down a path, and you'll be trying to go to a mission. It happened to me a couple times, and you hear the sound of a choo-choo coming from far away, and the music intensifies, and there's Charles trying to run you down and eat you like any good spider train would. And the issue with that is that your weapons are all on the train. So as you go through the game, you actually can't attack anybody in hand-to-hand combat. You're not carrying a gun. You're not carrying a melee weapon. You are strictly there to walk and adventure and collect. Now, here's where it gets a little spoilery. So if you don't want to know about the actual plot of this game, I'd go click away. I'd go spend 2 to 3 hours, play it on your Switch or Xbox or PlayStation or Steam, and then come back and watch the rest of this video. So as you proceed through the game and you start doing the main story objectives, one of the things you learn about are these like caves or these mine areas or these tunnels where these eggs are being housed and protected by these masked mob assailants who work for this guy named Warren Charles III. And your mission is to collect all 3 of these eggs so that you can put them in the middle of like this sanctuary. It's at the very top of like this pyramid looking structure. And you put those there so that you could summon Charles for a final fight. The issue is that as you go through these areas to collect these eggs, like I said, you don't have a melee option, you don't have any weapons, you can't fight back. So these are truly like stealth sneak areas. Also in these areas, you don't really know the layouts of the tunnels or the mines or the building as you're going through. So you really having to kind of check all these areas, which is great because there's scraps all along the way for you to collect to continue to level up the damage and the armor and the health of your train. And beyond that, if you do interact with one of the mobbed assailant guards, you can run out of the entire facility. They will chase you back to your train. You can hop on, grab a bazooka, and you can take them out. And then go right back in, and you can just waltz in without having to worry about interacting with them again. Which is really, really nice because I suck at sneaking and stealth, and that's what I had to do in every single one of those situations. But then once you collect all of those eggs, you take them to this sanctuary-looking place, you put them there, Charles gets in there, and then he kind of morphs into Hell Charles, which is this rad-looking, badass, monster, train, hell demon that it becomes a more full-on fight because all throughout the game, as you're having these interactions with Charles, you just have to damage him enough to get away. But in this fight, you are locked in. It is go time. And there's other things you've done along the way to create this opportunity for yourself to actually slay the beast once and for all. Now, I'm not going to go into all the details of how that actually occurs. Play the game. It's really fun. But I want to talk about a few elements of the game that I really appreciate. So I think a big part of what I really like about the game is the ambiance and the atmosphere. And a lot of that is created through the sound design of this game. There's not a whole lot of soundtrack to this game. It was a pretty limited production. And I think they do a really good job of using different sound effects and the fear that you feel when you hear that little choo-choo off in the distance. You know he's not really close by, but you know he's coming your direction. Those kind of utilizations of the sound design were really impactful to me, created more of a sense of urgency and anxiety more than anything else in the entire game. Also, the sound effects of different side missions, like one where you have to interact with a witch and you have to go into this little island in the middle of this pool of water. And as you're going, you hear like the water around you kind of lapping up, and you actually have to control the sound waves you're emitting through how fast you're walking through the water so that you don't get attacked by another creature that you can't see. Stuff like that is really impactful, and those side missions, because they're so unique of each other, but because they're also using design elements that the game creators put into the game to be really memorable, like it just made it so much more fun for me as a player. And I've talked about this in my last video that I'm at a point in my life where I do like to be able to sit down and play for a short amount of time just because I have a couple of kiddos that are less than a year and a half old. So I'm really pulled in, and I have a teenager, so I'm pulled in a lot of different directions. I have my wife and I have my job, and I have a lot of things in my life that are going on. So to be able to sit down, play, and then like log off and be okay and come back and understand like what I was doing is really helpful. And this game allows me to do that because it is so short, so truncated, but it felt like a complete experience. And it also doesn't hurt that it was $20 at base value, and I got it for 69% off. Nice. Because I got it for such a great deal, I feel like even more in love with it. I feel like it is one heck of a feat for such a small group of people to put together. The characters were interesting. They were all kind of wooden in terms of how they interact with you, and the voice acting wasn't the best, but you know, like it's not expected to be. It's a $20 game. I know what I'm getting into, and for what it was, I mean, it's a solid 8 out of 10 for me. Now, there's a lot of things I'm leaving out. I'm trying to leave out the beginning parts of the plot. There's a lot of side missions I'm not talking about. There's a lot of elements of the lore I'm not talking about, because I want you to walk into this and feel like it's your own experience. Even with some of the spoilers I gave, I feel like that's only scratching the surface. I haven't even talked about Barry. I haven't talked about Warren all that much. I haven't talked about Eugene. I haven't talked about Paul. Like, This game, guys, there's so much to it for such a short, truncated experience. I just love the word truncated, so I'll keep saying it. But I think it's worth your time, it's worth your money, and it's worth the investment of a couple of hours and maybe $20. I know it just dropped on a few different platforms like Switch and Xbox, but I got it on Steam. You can play it on Steam Deck. It works really well with Steam Deck, and they're running sales on it all the time. So definitely head over to Steam, go check it out, or pick it up on Switch or Xbox, and I really don't think you'll regret it. All right, guys. Well, like I said, 8 out of 10 for Choo Choo Charles. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so now. We are on the road to 2,000 subscribers, and I think we can get there really, really soon. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you comment down below if you've played Choo Choo Charles. And if you have, what did you rate it? Like I said, mine's 8 out of 10. Do you agree with that? Do you disagree? If so, why? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure you share this video with anybody that you think might find it interesting. If you have any recommendations for games that are like Choo Choo Charles, please put those in the comments down below too. And like I said in my post, for my community tab around like what videos you want to see, do let me know in the comments down below. Do you want me to continue doing game reviews like this? Do you want me to do some top 10s, top 5s like I did in my most overrated games? I'm going to do some WWE/AEW/wrestling content here soon. But this is mostly a gaming channel. There's also some parenting shorts out there. So we'll continue to do some fun shorts. But all that to say, guys, thank you. I appreciate you. And I will see you very soon.